Okay, I think we're ready to get started. We're going to call this March 10th, 2020 Madison County Planning Commission meeting to order. John Zimmerman said he would say a prayer, so we're going to start with that.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day. We just thank you for all our many blessings that we have. We're looking forward to a beautiful spring season, Lord, and we just know that you will bless us. Help us this day to remember all of our military and our firemen and everybody that protects this county. Lord, help us this day to make good decisions for the county. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Thanks, John. All right, if everybody stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Stacy, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Corey Bolander,
Here.
Lisa Hobbs, Tom Shepard,
Here.
Beth Van Sickle,
Here.
Kelly Gaskell, John Zimmerman,
Here.
Mark Geary,
Here.
David Kane,
Here.
Wes Lykus.
Here. Thank you. Okay, we've got plenty here, so. Next on the agenda is to approve the February 11th minutes. Are there any addition or correction to those minutes?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the February 11th, 2020 minutes.
We have a motion.
I'll second those.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Now, Liz, we're going on to new business. Do you want to start this?
The only thing we have on the agenda today is the proposed comprehensive plan and making a recommendation to the commissioners to either favorable or unfavorable recommendation. So with that said, I'll turn the floor over to John Levine if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask him before you guys
Okay.
make your decision.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to say it's my pleasure to announce that, we're nearing completion with the plan. It's been a long and rewarding process, and I can truly say on behalf of the team that we enjoyed working with the stakeholders and community members and the Plan Commission and the commissioners to hopefully make Madison County a better place moving forward. Just real quick, I have a couple of bullets to kind of brief you about it, the process. We've engaged 3,380 people over this process. We have reached a broad and diverse representation of Madison County. We focused on transparency throughout the process, involving the public, involving the stakeholders, involving the Plan Commission and commissioners at all stages of the process. We tried our best to eliminate bias from our agendas when we sought public input, and we have responded to the feedback of the public, the steering committee, the Plan Commission, and the commissioners as timely as possible. We've met individually with Brad Newman, Wes Lykus, and Commissioner John Richwine, and we've had various rounds of feedback from our steering committee. In specific, Nancy Vaughn has been very thorough, Mr. David Kane, Brad Newman, Pete Bitar, Clayton Whitson, and many others. We have a few contractual obligations that would still need to be met after the completion and adoption of the plan, which is getting it recorded, 15 color-bound copies of the document, a software license, and then maintaining the Madison County website for a minimum of 1 year. The last thing I would like to announce before I open for questioning is that we are going to have one more round of meetings called launch celebrations, where we go out we have one in Anderson and one in Frankton on April 7th and 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So please join us for those if you would like. But those are where we go and engage the public one last time and just present the plan to them and celebrate this 1.5 year long plus project with them. So right now, I'll open up for any questions. I will make another, so we, I don't know if you got the email, but we put the latest version of the comprehensive plan online last night. And so I emailed you all to give you, I know it was last minute, but I emailed you all to give you the latest version that we have. So there have been a lot of edits made since that last binder that you've received. And then Mr. Kane sent us a long list of things that we addressed, as well as we met with Mr. Likens yesterday and addressed a few other concerns that we had there. And so now I will open the floor for any questions about the plan.
Any major changes from, I have not had a chance to.
Not major changes. They've just been minor, corrections, revisions in terms of numbers, just very minor revisions, nothing big.
Yeah, John, who's gonna police this? The commissioners or?
No, it's actually going to be up to stakeholders to see this through, to make sure that happens. So in our round of, in our steering committee and then in some of our public meetings, we've been told that, I suggested to that there should be an advisory committee that meets annually or biannually, however they determine the frequency to meet on that. But it would be an outside of the Plan Commission committee that would represent the communities and keep the plan going and make sure that it hits those timeframes and priority levels specified in the action matrices of the comprehensive plan.
Do you know if the commissioners have read this by chance?
I cannot speak to that. I do know that we've given them many opportunities and we tried our best to give it to them in pieces so that they didn't have to read large portions at a time. Now, eventually it got to a point where it was up to a couple hundred pages, but initially we tried to give them, 20, 40 pages at a time to try and help them, because we know that we understand that they're very busy and that they may not have time to sit down and read 400 pages all in one go. So we tried our best to give them many opportunities to take off smaller pieces at a time. But I can't say that whether they've read it or not. I cannot tell you that.
Because it seems to me that they're not trying to help out the county at all. So I just want to know what's going to happen with this.
That
Is it going to
I
fall apart on us?
have no answer for that. I will tell you that we met with Mr. Commissioner Richwine, and we spent about 2 hours with him and went over the entire comprehensive plan, page for page. And so he has seen the entire plan. He has not read it word for word, obviously, but he has seen the entire plan and gave us feedback on it. So.
Well, he's the only commissioner I see that's actually really concerned about this county. And so we got one fighting against two. Is anything going to come out of it? I guess we can wait and see, kind of wait and see it. Okay.
Yes, sir. I don't have an answer for you there.
You know what, I would like to build on something that Tom referenced, and that is who's going to police this thing. I mean, what strikes me is elected officials come and go. And this is a 15-year plan, so it's fair to assume those elected officials are going to come and go. If you don't have someone driving it, if you don't have a cheerleader, and I'm not talking about an advisory committee that looks at it once a year for a status update. I'm talking about someone who truly is looking at it on a regular basis and is making priorities about what we can accomplish this way. Some things may have already been accomplished or may well be on the way to being accomplished. But it just seems to me that if you don't have a focal point, a person, called a program manager, called a program minister, whatever you want to call it, that is on a regular basis driving this, or at least passing it on to the next generation, then I think it stands the risk of getting to that 15-year point and adding to, like you did in your report, that list of things that are still unaccomplished from 1983. And so, Liz, I would, or Mr. President, I would suggest that in our transmission, that we highlight, in our recommendation, that there in fact be somebody, that is identified as the cheerleader for the comprehensive plan, that is in fact driving it and is tracking it, making priorities about it, and keeping others informed about how it's progressing. Because I truly believe, I mean, I will certainly compliment you. I think it's a very comprehensive product. I think there's probably some things in here that, depending upon your political persuasion, might be a bit controversial for some. But that doesn't mean that the entire product is without value and merit. So I would just offer that up and offer my compliments for the work you've done.
Yes, thank you, and totally agree with the program manager. And if you want to meet ever, we can try to figure that out together. I'd love to be a part of that. I will tell you that the comprehensive plan getting finished will be great for the county in terms of if they want to update their ordinances, then they can base those decisions off of what came out of the comprehensive plan process and make them into law. Which would be a good thing.
But I would tell you, John, and I think that that's going to be the easiest part, is changing ordinances. It's all the other things that make it the comprehensive plan that I think are going to require that driver and that cheerleader, or it'll just, at some point, it'll falter and it'll go on the shelf.
Absolutely, totally agree.
I have one question. Why didn't you, when you suggested somebody on this committee to meet, that it wasn't anybody from the planning department?
Well, we talked to Brad about that, and I don't know the answer for that. I don't think we intended for that to be the case.
Yeah.
But we did intend for it to not be the entire plan commission.
No, I totally agree with
yeah.
that. I totally agree with that. But I just think we should have some representation from this board. Or
I was on the steering committee.
yeah, but I'm talking about this future committee that's going to look at this. I guess that's what or maybe use people from the steering committee on that committee or something.
Yes,
but,
absolutely. Yeah.
But that would be good, because that would help be a cheerleader for us, I guess, as a board, to have somebody on there that would could give us updates from time to time or whatever
Sure.
we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think we need, as a board, and here, I think we need some representation in the future.
Sure, absolutely, totally agree.
So how do we do that?
Well, we have to wait till he comes up with the board members, or this, I guess it's not a board member, it's a committee, and see who he elects to put on it, I guess.
I think at least one of us and Brad need to be on it.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Because Brad's gonna be overseeing a lot of this anyhow. I mean,
Especially when we go to change ordinances and all that, we need, everybody kind of needs to work together on that, so.
but after my time yesterday, visiting with you guys, that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
The stuff you put together. Very good job.
Yeah, and the meetings that I've been to, I think that you've had real good feedback from other people, in there, and that, of course, that helps steer which way we want to go on the plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of opportunities. And anybody that wanted to go to a meeting, they could go. There were so many opportunities.
If people didn't get their input in, it was their fault.
It was their fault, definitely.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I think COG, you and Ralph and everybody did a nice job on this, John.
Well, thank you,
Real nice
and
job.
thank you guys for participating so much in the process.
Where do I send the bill for reading glasses?
these aren't any good.
Did you have any comments from the commissioners, as of late that they would have wanted changed that didn't get you? I guess I was trying to think of anything that if we send the recommendation and they, for some reason, wouldn't accept our recommendation, I was just wondering if there's something that, or do you feel pretty
We have not
comfortable?
from Mrs. Gaskell or Mr. Phipps. We did receive one comment from, out of the 376 pages, we received one comment from Mr. Richwine regarding the rural energy management cooperation. And we addressed that, and we sent him over a sentence that we changed up in that to kind of, because we had a large representation of people that are against solar. We had a smaller representation of people that were directly involved with that process in terms of owning some of the land that going to the solar field. And so it was interesting. It was good to hear from him because we hadn't heard from that many people on that side of the fence. And so we did take into account both sides, and we tried to address that the best we could regarding both sides of the fence. And so he did provide us feedback on that one issue, and we addressed it, and then we sent him out a copy of that, and I haven't heard anything back since then.
Okay.
But yeah, he was pretty good with everything else.
It's my understanding that if the commissioners would edit this proposal, that it would come back to this board similar to an ordinance zoning map change. Is that your understanding as well?
I think the zoning map and the zoning change, I don't know the answer to that.
We recommend the comprehensive plan as stated on the website today, and the commissioners make changes to it. They find something else they want. And
Surely have to come back here
I
first.
think it comes back here. Is that? First comprehensive plan that I've really dealt with as an attorney, I probably won't deal with anymore, but obviously a rare experience, but that's my understanding. It'll come back here for further recommendation. Obviously, the commissioners get the ultimate say, they're the executive of the county, but I think like on our moratorium issue, there was a certain length passed by the planning commission on solar panels. It went to the commissioners, they edited it slightly, then it came back here for another recommendation. So I would assume that's the same process here. I'll confirm that, but I know there's a different section for comprehensive plan that you guys looked into, done all the notices. So that's just more for the plan commission's information than anything else. Obviously, it's up to you whether it's just a recommendation. Commissioners don't take your recommendation or edit it, which is certainly possible, then you get another look at it.
You know, Mr. President, it may be worth noting that we, as a board, perhaps we're not making value judgments on every single item contained within the plan, but as an overall guide for considerations in the future, it warrants our recommendation.
I would agree.
This is very important as a backbone, almost as a constitution to your ordinances, because when you make any kind of ordinance change or zoning map change, and that would happen to go to litigation, what a court always looks at, well, do the commissioners and plan commission, did your ordinance change? Is it compatible with your comprehensive plan? So it prevents you from just going willy-nilly, well, I don't care what that thing says, I want that to be zoned commercial. But this says that shouldn't be commercial, and the court will be more likely to strike that down. And so, yeah, you want this to be a guide, not that it can't be changed, and you can make certain findings later that, well, we don't think this comprehensive plan works because A, B, C, and D. But you're still always bound by this until this would be done again when we're a lot older.
Well, you're writing, that whole book is wonderful. You're going out 15 years. There's a lot that can change in 15 years.
We saw that in the last plan.
Yeah, so, I'm sure there's gonna be things in there.
And
Eventually.
to keep in mind also, you can update them more frequently than the 15 or 20 years.
yeah.
Yeah, you can do it 5, or you can do it every year or 3 years.
What are you saying?
But say, just call our office anytime you need any help with that. And but no, they can be updated more frequently than 15, 20 years.
Do you envision some of these items being a one and done? I mean, there are items in here that you call for, training for every county employee on the grants process, grants management and grants application process. In your mind, is that a one and done, or is that something continuous that periodically needs to be run through again?
I would say initially that could be the one and done, but I always, in any type of training, I would say it's always a continuing process. You're always learning the new requirements or have things changed. But to be able to, write grants, find grants, administer grants, I would say that would be a one and done. But then that individual would always be researching whether there's updated information on how to submit grants or that the process has changed. That is always changing. So
But it's fair to say in 5 years, that would be meaningless if you don't keep up with it,
Yeah, probably.
right?
yes,
And I think there are other things in there as well, which I go back to what I said before, and that is that cheerleader, and someone to keep driving this to make it the most effective it can be. I mean, obviously, some of these things are very long term, but others are much shorter, clearly. So.
absolutely.
What do we need to do, Jeff, to get this to the commissioner?
We have to make a recommendation, either positive, negative, neutral, and then I would recommend that the motion would cite the website mentioned today, because it has the latest edits.
Yes.
And
Edited as of yesterday.
then that'll be transmitted to the commissioners for inclusion on their upcoming agenda.
Then if they edit that, it comes back here?
That's my understanding. I'll confirm that. I know it is with the general ordinance change. I assume that is with comprehensive plan as well. A little bit different elements.
Is that what we want to do, Wes?
I think so. I think we're ready for that.
Jeff, is that something, I mean, they could go in and if they disagreed with a particular section, they just simply nullify that section?
Or edit or change a number, or add a section, delete a section. We don't want it to be 50 miles, we want it to be 40, simple things. Or they could just gut the whole thing and throw it out. And ultimately, they have to say in this thing, so I don't expect that to happen. But just as you are recommending as the plan commission, this board is chosen statutorily and by the appointing bodies to be an expert on this stuff. And so your recommendation holds a lot of weight. They do have the final say.
Well, I'm comfortable with it. I mean, I've spent some time on it. Everybody's looked at it. I mean, we're looking into the future a little bit, so there's always gonna be something we'll probably wanna change eventually, but I think it was a job well done.
Thank you.
So it'd be that I recommend to this board, is that how you want that stated?
Favorably recommend
That this board moves along and sends this to the commissioners
comprehensive plan
as of last night?
is hosted on the website.
Yep.
That's how I'd present it, Wes.
So we
That's a motion.
have a motion. Do we have a second?
Can we highlight, I guess I'm interested to know, can we highlight that we are not necessarily making value judgments on every single item contained in the plan? But obviously passing it for their consideration. And in some cases, I mean, those are judgments that they're gonna have to make. I'm not sure how to necessarily express that one without watering it down. I don't mean to water it down, but there are some things in here that are pretty far reaching.
Mm-hmm.
Sure they are.
One of the things we did recently with the rezone, one of which was passed last night on that Hamilton Amazon, you requested the commissioners, we're giving you a favorable recommendation on this, but please look at the development fees for this, and they did. They negotiated directly with these two petitioners, so that could be almost an aside. We're giving you a favorable approval, but it's almost like a comment, almost like a footnote. We're not saying everything in this is exactly what our values are. Certainly, all 9 of this board is gonna have different views on some of that stuff, but as a plan itself, we recommend that you pass this thing. And you can also make the comments about the advocate or the cheerleader or whatever for the,
Yeah, I think that needs to be in there.
Yeah.
You know, I think we need to do that, because I think you brought up a very good point, and we need some representation from this board and from the planning office, you know, that we keep this going and keep checking into it, and just having, you know, our own little review from time to time. If we see something that isn't quite right, we bring it up.
And Liz, I don't mean to put you in a position to have to speak for Brad, but I am curious to hear your perspective. Could you take this on? Could the planning department take this on as a primary mission?
With the 3 employees we have, you know, Brad and the 2 of us and all the subdivisions coming in, I honestly don't know that we have the time. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to hear
I
that.
mean, we're willing to do everything we can, but, you know, as we get busier.
I'll speak a little bit for Brad on that. We have a comprehensive plan now, we have ordinances, and their staff, with the funding level it's at, has to pick the very worst of the worst. We all know there's ordinance violations all throughout the county, but she and Brad and the rest of the staff have to pick out just the one. So without funding, they will not be able to grind through matching ordinances in that plan to the level of advocacy that I think that we've envisioned.
Yeah.
So that's a countable question down the road.
Yeah, but as we sit here, if the suggestion was, well, the planning department can be that cheerleader, that's not practical.
With the amount
Yeah.
of people we have right now, no,
Yeah.
I don't think.
I could see that they could have a member on it,
Right.
but to totally do the whole thing themselves, probably not.
Ultimately, you're gonna need enforcement authority,
Yeah.
and that's boots on the ground, I suppose. And,
Well,
we have 2 boots.
and as you know, I mean, just getting the local municipalities together to come to some kind of an agreement on many of these issues, I mean, it's going to take someone that's approachable and persuasive, and again, to me, that's that cheerleader and that program manager, and I don't know who that's going to be. You know, we had talked about whether or not it's practical for the county chamber of commerce to take on that role. I don't know whether they would want it, but I know I'm repeating myself, but if you don't do it, I think it's going to lose steam after just a few months.
Is COG gonna be the expert on all this?
We can.
If there's big questions, we
yes,
call you or Ralph?
Absolutely, we can speak to anything in that document. We've been directly involved with the entire process.
They even know what page to go to.
So you're looking for a motion?
We had one.
How you doing, Tom? Okay,
Glad I showed up.
Do we need to repeat,
I don't think so. David, you want the motion the second to include a request for an advocate for the comprehensive plan, including a member of this plan commission, and also that a notation that this does not, all the contents do not reflect the value of each night of the commission.
Yes.
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 You
so,
want to amend your motion, Tom?
10-4.
so Tom made a motion, did David make the second then with all those?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom
Yes.
amended his
Yeah.
motion to reflect what
Yeah.
the 2 notations in the.
So we now have a
But
motion,
it is favorable.
we got a favorable motion and a second.
I guess I'm asking Dave, I said, since you know more about this plan, probably anybody on this board, would you second that motion?
Yes.
He did.
You did, yeah.
Oh, you did second
Mhm.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We didn't hear it, but he did.
Okay.
So, there we go. We got a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Corey Billander,
Yes.
Tom Shepherd,
Yes.
Beth Van Sickle,
Yes.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mark Geary,
Yes.
David Kane,
Yes.
Wes Likens.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Do we have any other business? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
This is your chance, Les.
You
This is
shine.
your chance. Come on.
Brief update, you had, the plan department had 5 trials this past month, and Liz was the star witness, and, they do hate her, but, she's doing her job, and she did a nice job in court, and that should be 5, properties getting a lot more cleaned up, and then at the end of March, we have some more trials coming up, so she was able to, she did a really nice job for the.
Excellent. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you,
that.
Liz.
Yeah.
Thank
Um,
Budget
Why didn't
file
it force-
20-00.
Now, again, on those, are those, there's gonna be enforcements on those too?
Right, that's kind of the force we're talking about, and she goes out and gets the worst of the worst, and she's
Yeah.
got, we have about 15 in the queue right now.
For court,
For
you
court,
know,
and those are
75.
the people just ignore her.
Sure, I understand.
Because her predecessor and her, and even further back, everybody tries really hard in this department to please help us out. And most people do, but the ones that don't, she's dragging into court, and she taught those one folks a lesson. We'll get into that. No, they don't.
Sure the neighbors do though.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
You're welcome. I didn't change my last name. A year ago.
Oh, gosh.
But they're gonna have more.
Put her in the witness protection plan.
Yeah,
How about the one that the sheriff's bringing in?
That's what I'm wondering
I'm sorry.
How about the ones that the sheriff's bringing in?
You know, we haven't had very many of those lately. We did there for a while. They were, bringing in, they were going out and tagging a lot of cars that were, unplated or inoperable.
Mm-hmm.
But they've kinda,
Do you have to go to court for those?
We would ultimately, but I think the sheriff,
they pretty much, once my second letter goes out, they pretty much, there's just a handful of people that have more names for me than Liz or Elizabeth.
Mhm.
I have a lot of names. That's just my salary.
Is there any update on the ordinance that was proposed by the sheriff?
no, I do not have an update on that.
You talking about when they were in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a great move. We needed that a long time ago. Our hands were getting tied and they didn't have anywhere to go, so, yeah.
But we're not sure the ordinance has been proposed, right?
I don't know if it has or
Not
not.
that
I know
I've
they-
been told.
That would ultimately be a commissioner's action, not this board. This board needs its informal approval.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But I don't know if the commissioners passed that, and I can find out. Probably was. I don't see where it would have any opposition.
I can check with Brad.
Yeah, so that's a good question.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.